touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Today, people across the country watched as Rayshard Brooks was laid to rest. Atlanta's Mayor Tyler Perry, T.I., among those at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Mr. Brooks was 27 years of age when he was killed. Today's service reflected that his memory is now part of a bigger movement. He was shot and killed by a former Atlanta police officer during a DUI stop at Wendy's 2 Fridays ago. Social justice leaders like Dr. Bernice King called for a continuing push toward justice.
In honor of Ahmaud Arbery, in honor of Breonna Taylor, in honor of George Floyd, in honor of Rayshard Brooks and countless others, don't stop until it matters that dignity, justice, and equity are a reality for all black lives. Rayshard Brooks' death will not be in vain, because justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Mr. Brooks' family hopes his legacy will be police reform. His wife and 4 children attended the service. For them and his close friends, it was a day to remember a father, a husband, and a son. Joe Hankey was there for the service at Ebenezer that began at 1 p.m.
Walked Rayshard Brooks' gold casket into Ebenezer Baptist Church. His family and friends walked in under a cloud of heartbreak, dressed in all white. The 27-year-old's funeral, invitation only. A small crowd, though, gathered outside Ebenezer to watch the service on a big screen. Delivering the eulogy, the church's senior pastor, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, who called on everyone in the church to support Rayshard's 3 daughters and son in the years to come.
And reassure them that they are as smart as anybody, that they are as worthy as anybody, that they are as valuable as anybody, and they are not alone.
Warnock recalled the recent death of George Floyd 18 days before Brooks' own death. The cases he admitted are different, with Floyd following commands and Brooks struggling and then running away.
But they are both dead. And therein is the problem. Black parents do not really know what to tell their children in order to keep them alive.
As Brooks' wife and children looked on, his mother-in-law said she knows Brooks is still with them and will be for years to come.
I look at my grandbaby right there. She looks just like him. And when I look at her, I know that he's not gone.
And outside, as Brooks' casket left the church, his family following behind, attorneys for the family asked her people to use Brooks' name to push for change.
Do not stop fighting. Continue to push. Stay in the streets until real change happens.
Rayshard Brooks' family said they didn't want the service to end on a sad note. People came to mourn today, but his family asked for the service to finish with uplifting music as the casket left the church, hoping those in attendance would leave inspired. If you would like to hear the full remarks from today's service, we streamed it on 11alive.com and the 11 Alive YouTube page. Meanwhile, a Fulton County judge has delayed the bond hearing for Garrett Rolfe, the fired officer accused of killing Rayshard Brooks. It was scheduled for today. The judge postponed it because of the funeral. Right now, there is no date for the new hearing. A woman suspected of setting fire to the Wendy's on University Avenue has now been arrested. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office confirmed that 29-year-old Natalie White was picked up this afternoon and booked into the Fulton County Jail. The Wendy's was where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed on June 12th. A day later, the Wendy's was burned down during a night of protests. Democrats and Republicans overwhelmingly passed a hate crimes bill in both houses of the General Assembly this afternoon. This came after the bill was expanded again, then stripped down in the course of a week. 11 Alive's Doug Richards has more tonight.
We have a long history in Georgia of embedded discrimination.
Bill Cowsard was the first of a parade of Republican and Democratic senators who spoke up for the hate crimes bill that spent more than a year languishing at the Capitol. But the case of Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, a black man prosecutors say was chased and killed by 3 white men, dislodged the bill in the closing days of the 2020 session.
Because of this graphic video images that we've all seen on the news now, that makes this an undeniable problem and injustice we can't continue to tolerate.
The hate crimes bill passed the House last year with a modest list of protections, including race, religion, sexual orientation, and disabilities. Last week, Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan proposed doubling the size of that list. Late last week, Republicans added first responders, which infuriated Democrats. Now the hate crimes bill is back to its original list with a new bipartisan provision that adds a hate crimes database.
The data piece of this is important so we can know where the actual hate crimes taking place in Georgia.
The support was bipartisan but not unanimous. Republican Senator Bill Heath quoted scripture and questioned how useful a hate crimes law would really be.
I don't think we're doing anything, folks. This is a very complicated issue, but we seem to be complicating it even more, and perhaps some feel good about that.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers, where we're dry in Atlanta right now, but we're still tracking some showers and, yes, even some thunder and lightning over to the north and east of us. The cells are very isolated. We don't have a lot of those around, but the ones that we have do have some heavy rain with them. I want to take you up first to this one, north and east of the city. Some of these showers moved over the north end of Lake Lanier, North Hall County. They're over Banks County right now, where we have some pockets of heavy rain. We have some lightning strikes with that, too. It's not severe, but just some good heavy rain coming down around Homer, over toward Gillsville, right there on the Hall and Banks County line, over near Lula, in parts of eastern Hall County. That's going to keep moving on over to the east. It'll be crossing over 85 in a little bit. Commerce, you might get a little bit of that. Should be falling apart as it moves into into the Carnesville area and then into Sandy Cross. Some additional showers in Rabun County, also in Towns and Union counties, and in Gilmer County, also into parts of Pickens County, northern Dawson County, Gordon County. You've got a few showers. Here in town right now, we're actually doing okay, not much rain moving in. And we were talking about these storms earlier tonight in our broadcast, and I was expecting them to stay to the south of us, and that's what's happening with these that have been moving through Randolph and Cleburne County. They're diminishing as they're getting ready to cross over the line. Heard County, Carroll County, you might see some light showers. Also down into Troup County near LaGrange, some pockets of heavy rain there. And then this rain from Birmingham down to the south of Birmingham near Maplesville. I do think that most of that is going to stay to the south of us as well. Take a live look out there right now, and you can see what we're watching. Additional showers over into Alabama I think will be diminishing. Here is that live look. This is from our tower cam in Cobb County there at Truist Park, and you can see some of those rain showers and some of those rain shafts there in the distance from some of of those isolated showers well out to the west right now. Here's what we're going to be watching going through the rest of the nighttime hours and during the day tomorrow. More scattered showers and storms are going to develop here on Wednesday. There is a chance that some of those could be strong. And then finally, the rain chances are going to go down as we head into the weekend. And it looks like it's going to be a rather hazy weekend thanks to the Saharan dust that's going to be filtering in the upper levels. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit.
Chris, thank you. We want to take you through some of the other local headlines tonight. We begin with 24 people who were arrested during a sex trafficking sting. This happened in Coweta County. The sheriff's office says it occurred inside of a hotel in Noonan last week. Investigators say they saw hundreds of ads for prostitution targeting the area. Working with Homeland Security's Human Trafficking and Child Exploitation Division, investigators set up meetings with the suspects from the ads, then made the arrests. Officers also confiscated drugs and firearms. A bill aiming to help feed Georgia's children in need this summer is headed to Governor Kemp's desk. The Save Our Sandwiches bill, or State Senate Bill 345, passed the House with a vote of 150 to 12. The legislation came after state health inspectors stopped the Marietta-based Must Ministries from making food for its summer donation program in people's homes. The organization has been making free homemade sandwiches for local students every day of summer for almost 24 years. The High Museum is making plans to reopen with new safety guidelines in place. The Art Museum in Midtown will limit capacity to 250 people per hour when it opens back up on July 18th with reduced hours. All staff and visitors will be over the age of 2 that will be required to wear face masks. The High is also offering free access to frontline workers before reopening from July 7th through July 17th. COVID-19 has put Gwinnett County in the spotlight over the past couple of weeks. Gwinnett now leading in the number of COVID cases, 6,636 as of today. Given its population size, the rate of cases remain fairly low compared to the impact the virus is having on rural areas. Still, we asked investigative reporter Rebecca Lindstrom to take a closer look at why the numbers are so high.
If you're looking for an outbreak or special event to blame for Gwinnett's rise in cases, the county's public health director says you won't find it.
It's not necessarily your race. It has to do with more of where you live.
Regardless of whether you look at the top 3 zip codes by case numbers, 30044, 30093, 30047, or by the highest portion of residents impacted, Dr. Audrey Arona says they are all in densely populated parts of the county with higher rates of minority residents, especially Latino or Hispanic.
There are multi-generational, multi-family units in this particular area because there's going to be more transmission.
That's why Arona says the county started a public awareness campaign, posting information on buses and in stores. What's interesting is that while the county conducted about 3,000 tests each week for more than a month, it wasn't until Gwinnett opened this site in Lilburn that the number of positive cases began to double. When open, it now accounts for more than half of the tests given by the public health department.
I wouldn't call it a second wave. I think we're seeing numbers that are consistent with our testing.
She says you can't really compare the numbers for March and April with what's happening in June. Now, anyone can get tested. If you look at the data, even with more cases, the hospitalization and death rates have gone down. The median age of those sick has decreased, as has the percentage of those with known underlying medical conditions.
So all that implies that the cases that we are finding are younger, they have less severe disease, and they have less medical problems, which is all good.
Dr. Arona says the county has the capacity to test about 5,000 people every week, but right now they're only getting requests for about half of that. While you do need an appointment, she stresses testing through the county is free and it's available 6 days a week.
The Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta now partners with the United States Department of Health and Human Services. The school is the recipient of a $40 million initiative to fight COVID-19 in minority communities. 11 Alive's Shanu Hur explains more about what that means.
COVID-19 has devastated Black and brown communities, in part, experts say, due to a lack of quality health care and resources. On Tuesday, a new weapon to help combat the pandemic that has disproportionately affected these communities. The Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health selected Morehouse School of Medicine to spearhead a $40 million project. The goal is to fight the disease in the most vulnerable communities.
The data suggests that unfortunately, racial and ethnic minority communities have been hardest hit in terms of the number of cases of COVID, hospitalization, and in some cases, death rates.
The CDC's numbers show that minority groups combined make up far more COVID-19 cases than white Americans. Rear Admiral Felicia Collins is the director of the Office of Minority Health. She says Morehouse was chosen as the grant recipient because of its past work.
Morehouse School of Medicine has a history of working to respond to the needs of vulnerable communities that traditionally suffer from worse health outcomes.
Dr. Dominic Mack is the director of the National Center for Primary Care at the Morehouse School of Medicine. He says he's proud to be a part of the school leading the 3-year initiative.
President Dr. Montgomery Rice has always spoke about how we are out here to lead health equity. And what this does is it gives us an opportunity to act upon that.
The project is designed to work with community-based organizations all over the country to deliver education and resources. The network will link communities to COVID-19 testing, healthcare, and social services.
We recognized to be able to do a job like this by the National Health System, I think is a commendation that we won't wear lightly.
We're getting more detailed plans from school districts about what a return in the fall could look like. Clayton County Schools have just released their plan, which they say can be adjusted based on COVID numbers in the state come fall. So the one they are planning on right now is what they call the moderate risk scenario. It includes an A-day, B-day plan as well, so children alternate days in the classroom, and then Friday is a virtual learning day across the board. There are some other goals they have to accomplish, like spacing out desks, staggering student arrival times, and making sure that everybody has a Chromebook for virtual learning. If you want to keep track of our state's COVID-19 numbers, our special section on 11alive.com is a great resource. We'll keep an eye on all the trends to make sure that you can stay informed. Roadblocks are going up at University Avenue as neighbors become concerned about the crowd hanging out at the Wendy's with weapons. That's the Wendy's where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed. You'll hear what the city's interim police chief has to say coming up next. Don't forget, we're streaming right now on the 11 Alive YouTube channel. You can subscribe and join the conversation. In the community section, we have more 11 Alive news in prime time right after the break.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. on 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
Thousands online are reacting to an area of Atlanta that has been taken over by those with weapons. Roadblocks have been set up on University Avenue near the Wendy's, where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed. And the people patrolling them are telling those who live there, who own businesses, they are not allowed in or out. It's been one of our top stories on 11alive.com. Caitlin Ross is on the story for us tonight, and Caitlin says that neighbors are growing weary of all of it.
They want the people occupying that area gone. They say it's been a nightmare trying to get in and out of South Atlanta for the past week, and now they're taking their concerns to City Council.
My residents are calling me and saying that they drive down the street, and I'm talking about black and white residents, for saying, my God, what is happening? People have got guns, they're scared.
Councilmember Joyce Shepard represents the area where armed citizens have taken over the streets. She told the Public Safety Committee members she was stopped at a roadblock just outside of Wendy's.
Why is it that when protests happen in other parts of the cities, they bring in all these people, the National Guard and people to stop them, but they have literally taken over the streets on University Avenue where they're sitting in the streets and they determine who goes in and out.
Council President Felicia Moore tweeted about the roadblocks Monday, saying this is not Atlanta. Councilmember Shepard says she's been on the phone nonstop with APD Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant about de-escalating the situation there. During the meeting, he says officers are harassed when they go into that area.
When we took police cars into an area, they destroyed those cars.
The interim chief spoke out against a motion that would have limited the use of military-style vehicles and rubber bullets against people in these type of situations.
Throwing bricks, bottles, and knives at the police officers.
The Public Safety Committee agreed to hold off on the legislation until they could talk more to APD about why they use those tools.
As we making these decisions, I got to look at it from a holistic perspective of all of my citizens, not just a group of people who screamed and hollered.
Most of the people commenting about this situation want to know what Mayor Bottoms thinks of it. We reached out to her multiple times yesterday and today and have still not heard back.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers, and at this 8 o'clock hour, we are tracking some of those showers that are out there and some thunderstorms. Not much going on directly in the city of Atlanta, but we do have some showers to the north and west of us, to the west, to the north, and also north and east. And that's where the heaviest rain is right now. These showers have been moving through northeast Georgia, and they're pushing down toward the south and to the east. And this is where we have some of those pockets of heavier rain. We've also seen some lightning with that in North Hall, moving into Banks County. We still have a couple of lightning strikes here near the Homer area. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be tracking this area of rain that was about to move over 85. It is now over 85 with that heavy rain. This is just right there at the Commerce exit, and just north of that as you head on up toward the Carnesville area, and that's going to keep moving on over to the east. Some additional showers here in parts of Union and Towns counties, also in Gilmer County, northern parts of Dawson County, parts of Pickens County, Gordon County, just to the east of 75. We have some showers there. Again, these are isolated, but the ones that are occurring do have some heavy rain with them. Nothing going on in Atlanta proper, but over to the west, we're still watching a few lighter showers. These are diminishing in Cleburne and Randolph County. We have some light rain that's coming in just over the state line into parts of Haralson County, Polk County, and into Carroll County. That's going to be in Heard County, Troup counties as well. But that really heavy stuff that we were watching earlier is falling apart. Still some heavier rain back into the Birmingham area too, stretching down closer to Montgomery. All of that we think is going to stay down to the south of us as well, with all of the thunder and also the lightning. Take a live look out there right now. This is our tower cam in Gwinnett County. We have aimed this over to the west as the sun's going to be setting in just a few minutes, and you can see some of that light there that's being blocked out by a few of the clouds on the horizon. And then this is also looking west from our tower cam in Cobb County, and you can see the sun behind these clouds, but then also some of these clouds are causing a few of those isolated showers that we pointed out to the north and west of the city there at the distance. You can see some of those rain shafts, so that's a really nice shot that we have there as well. Now, we've been talking about the risk for any severe storms. Take a look at the storm prediction Operations Center, they still have us in this marginal risk, or the level 1 of 5 risk. I really think they're going to let that go pretty soon when they update this within the next hour or so. Still, we have some of those showers producing thunder and lightning, but I really don't think that they will be severe tonight. But then tomorrow, we're going to see another round of showers and storms redeveloping, and we do think that we'll see a few of those that could turn severe, with the main threats being some damaging winds possible, some heavy rain, frequent lightning, that marginal risk, or again, the level 1 of 5 risk. And that'll mainly be in the afternoon and early evening hours tomorrow here for our area. Temperatures right now still pretty warm. We're at 83 degrees. We topped off in the mid 80s today. We had those showers in West Georgia. It cooled it down to 77 in Carrollton. We have 79 in Canton. Most places, though, are still holding in the 80s at this hour. And tomorrow, we'll be back to the mid 80s. And we're going to go with the 5 on the wasometer. That's our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. A few clouds, a lot of clouds actually, with some sunshine breaking through at times, but then scattered showers redeveloping. Tonight, a lot of that rain that's out there will be diminishing, and then early in the morning, most areas dry. Around lunchtime, we see some showers developing to the west, and some of that moves in for the afternoon. And those are some of the showers that have that potential of maybe some strong winds and some heavy rain with that too. So a 60% chance you'll get hit by one of those showers tomorrow. Highs near 84, 81 Thursday with the rain chance at about 50%. Rain chance down to 30% on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, low chances of rain, only 20%. Still hot with temperatures near 90, but the sky's going to be really hazy due to that Saharan dust that we've been telling you about. That's going to be kind of filtering out some of that sunlight. And then Monday and Tuesday, 30% chance for showers with high temperatures around 88.
Coming up next, the Carver Market is rebuilding after vandals damaged it, and it is coming back more colorful than ever. How local artists are helping out.
Extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Some businesses that were damaged during protests against police brutality are still rebuilding. The Carver Market in southeast Atlanta is one of them. 11 Alive's Latasha Givens explains how local artists and customers are wrapping their arms around a grocery store that has been a staple in the community.
The Carver Market became collateral damage during protests, but as those who live and work here picked up the pieces, they also picked up a paintbrush, creating their own story, one that includes bold colors and the entire community.
We are Black, we are proud, we love our community. This is our home. We are a beautiful people, a strong, resilient people.
And that's what local artists and the community say this mural means to them. A new normal after recent protests left the Carver Market vandalized.
All of these windows have been broken and been replaced with wood and plywood.
Zuri Love is one of the artists leading the way.
The artwork is to represent all of the bullets that have been riddled, all of the people that have been hurt, all of the lives that have been lost.
Pamela Stringfield works here.
We've actually been hurt in this time, and so it's very devastating to come to a place that you love and to see it destroyed, to see it harmed.
But the liquid love overshadows the wooded up windows and broken bars, one stroke at a time.
The business is still moving forward. We have to continue to live. We have to continue to love. We need to continue to grow. And I think that this visual is going to give us an opportunity to do just that.
Whether you're a featured artist.
I am an artist that has been commissioned to come in and help support this whole cause.
Or a member of the community. On painting days, you too can pick up a brush and spread the love. And on the Carver's Facebook page, you can find out the days and times when you can come by and make your own splash.
Big concert venues are a no-go during the pandemic, but what about a little get-together? We're looking at the risks when it comes to those summertime activities.
Best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently.
The conversation on Capitol Hill today turned to COVID-19, and some of the nation's top medical experts gave Congress an update on where our country stands as cases in some states surge. Dr. Anthony Fauci talked about prospects for a vaccine.
I still think there is a reasonably good chance that by the very beginning of 2021, that if we're going to have a vaccine, that we will have it by then.
They also talked today about the president's claims during his Tulsa rally over the weekend that he wanted to slow down testing. Here's NBC's Susan McGinnis with more on the response.
With the U.S. coronavirus death toll topping 120,000, the nation's top health officials are called before Congress to give a pulse check on the pandemic.
In some respects, we've done very well.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci calling progress thus far a mixed bag at best.
In other areas of the country, we're now seeing a disturbing surge of infections.
The officials citing evidence of new spikes in southern and western states, with some states rolling back reopening plans and cases rising among the young. President Trump today again confusing the issue of whether he ordered top officials to slow testing, a stunning claim made at his Tulsa rally Saturday.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
The White House said he was kidding, but this from President Trump today.
I don't kid.
But today, each of the officials in turn denied President Trump gave them any such order.
I know for sure, but to my knowledge, none of us have ever been told to slow down on testing. We're going to be doing more testing, not less.
And amid the national upheaval over systemic racism, Dr. Fauci says it has contributed to the virus.
The African American community has suffered from racism for a very, very long period of time. And I cannot imagine that that has not contributed.
Sobering testimony that contained one key note of optimism. A vaccine could be ready by year end.
We often hear from people who are confused about what is safe to do and what isn't when it comes to COVID-19. Many know they shouldn't be in a packed concert venue. But what about a barbecue or hanging out with a few friends? Frances Abbey is breaking down some common activities and their factors of risk.
Here's a breakdown of 6 common activities and the level of exposure associated with each, according to experts. First, going out to eat. Experts agree that eating outdoors is safer than inside because of the increased ventilation. It's still risky, but your best bet is to dine on a restaurant patio that's observing strict social distancing and sanitizing protocols. Be sure to wear your mask whenever you're not eating. Next, going to a gym. Even if your gym is open, you're better off exercising outdoors, our experts say. The shared equipment and restricted ventilation make it harder to avoid exposure. If you're traveling, you might be debating whether it's best to drive or fly. Both are risky, but you have more control of your environment in a car than in a plane. But be sure to continue precautions when stopping for bathroom or food breaks. What about a summer barbecue? Technically, you can decrease risk by remaining outside, spacing families 6 feet apart, and avoiding physical contact and shared food items. But realistically, that might be hard to enforce, especially when alcohol is involved. Our experts also classify worship services as very risky. Your chance of exposure increases the longer you're around people and the more people there are in the group. Plus, singing could spread more aerosols, the particles that usually carry the virus. Which leads us to the riskiest activity, going to bars. Bars are a toxic mix of enclosed areas and alcohol, which could cause people to let their guards down. It's best to continue to avoid bars for the time being.
Many people looking to escape the coronavirus, doing so on 2 wheels. Jerry Carnes connects the dots between COVID-19 and bicycles.
The coronavirus has given our highways a break with months of lighter than normal traffic. But bike lanes around the United States are more crowded. Here's the connection between bicycle sales and the coronavirus. The group Human Powered Solutions keeps an eye on the cycling industry and claims bike sales have experienced their biggest spike since the oil crisis of the 1970s. Some stores have sold out of certain brands. The rush on bicycles began in mid-March as stay-at-home orders were sweeping the nation. Some people were looking for a new way to exercise after gyms closed. Others were looking for a way to avoid the crowds on mass transit. Human Powered Solutions predicts new bicycles will be in short supply and some brands will be out of stock for a while. The bicycle boom is not limited to the United States. Other countries around the world, particularly in Europe, are experiencing the same phenomenon.
And we're still watching some of these showers that are moving through. They're very isolated. Most places are dry, but those of you who are getting some rain, some of that's pretty heavy. And we even have some thunder and lightning with this north and east of the city, right up 85. Once you go through Jackson County, through parts of Banks County, on up into parts of Franklin County as well. That's where we're seeing some of that lightning crossing over 85. Just really between Commerce and Sandy Cross is where we have that heaviest rain. And there's some of that lightning right there on the county line between Banks County and also into Franklin County. We watched a few of these showers over North Hall a little bit earlier on the north end of Lake Lanier, and they're still holding together pretty well as they move over to the east. Now just some additional showers in parts of Dawson County, over in areas of Gordon County, also in Bartow County, northern parts of Cobb County near Kennesaw. A little shower just developed there on the south end of Allatoona Lake. We're dry in Atlanta at this hour, but over to the west of us, we've been tracking these showers that are falling apart, some light stuff crossing over the state line, and the heaviest rain has been really from Birmingham on down to the Georgia line. Some of that's going to be moving in around Columbus with thunder and lightning. And then these showers between Birmingham and just to the north and west of Montgomery, it looks like those are going to stay to the south of us as well. Take a look at this picture. This just came in from one of our 11 Alive community storm trackers, Joanne Tarpley in White County up at Mossy Creek. She saw this just a little while ago up in Mossy Creek. Nice rainbow with that sunshine capturing some of those moisture particles in the air. And this is a live look right now. This is out of Rome as we're looking toward the west. A nice view there. Some of those clouds on the horizon. You can see a little bit of that sunshine or sunlight there as the sun is just about to go below the horizon. Stay with us. We'll let you know if these evening showers will diminish and if we'll see more redeveloping tomorrow.
The U.S. House of Representatives working on gun control measures, and viral posts claim one bill would tax all guns and ammo in the U.S. and make everybody get a federal license. Is that true? Here's our friend Jason Puckett.
This is the viral claim you sent us. That as COVID-19 has filled the news, the House of Representatives has been working on a bill that will add a 30% tax on guns, a 50% tax on ammo, and require licenses for purchasing or owning any of them. So is this claim true? To verify, we went straight to the bill itself, H.R. 5717, or the Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act of 2020. Now, it was introduced to the House of Reps in January and then referred to a subcommittee. So it still has to pass the subcommittee, be voted on by the House, the Senate, and the President to become law. So would it actually add taxes on guns and ammo? Yes. About 250 pages in is a section called Imposition of Tax. Guns would have a 30% sales tax. Quote, shells and cartridges would have a 50% sales tax. And according to the bill, the money raised by those taxes would go towards gun violence research and prevention. But would the bill require licenses for owning or purchasing a gun? Yes. Page 4 makes it illegal to purchase or own a firearm without a federal or state license. Requirements to get one: be 21 years old, complete a training class, pass a background check, and not have any legal reasons preventing you from owning a gun. Bottom line, if H.R. 5717 passed as currently written, it would add taxes to guns and ammo and would require anyone who buys or owns guns to get a license. Claim verified. If you've got other claims for us to look into, send us an email.
Soon, any new residential developments in the city of Decatur could be required to include affordable units. The proposal is set to go in front of the city officials next month. That's according to our partners at the Atlanta Business Chronicle. The city formed an affordable housing task force last year that came up with 23 recommendations. One of them is this idea of mandatory inclusionary zoning, or creating space for affordable housing. The task force found that new developments within city limits often excluded low and moderate income housing. Sometimes new developments even tore down affordable options. The details about just how many units have to be affordable is going to come out on July 7th, with the Planning Commission set to take up the proposal 1 week later. Up next, as President Trump visits Arizona, there are questions about his claim that he could sign an executive order to protect monuments.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
As President Trump gears up his re-election campaign, he is in Arizona with a focus on border security, competing with headlines on coronavirus and protests over racial justice. Here's Alice Barr with more from Washington.
President Trump in Arizona today, revisiting old themes with a trip to the border wall as he tries again to reboot his campaign. His visit to the battleground state comes amid a surge in coronavirus cases there. The president again blaming more testing for rising case counts in more than 20 states.
By having more cases, it sounds bad, but actually what it is we're finding people. Many of those people aren't sick or very little.
But health officials say not just testing, but positivity rates are going up. And many are worried about the president's appearance tonight at a Students for Trump event in a Phoenix megachurch that can hold 3,000 people. Church leaders are asking attendees to wear masks. Earlier, they were called out for making a bogus claim to have a virus-killing filtration device.
Filtration technology in particular would not prevent COVID-19 transmission from person to person.
From controversy on the road to a showdown at home. Police breaking up protests today in Lafayette Park across from the White House and clearing Black Lives Matter Plaza after overnight protesters tried to tear down a statue of former President Andrew Jackson until police stepped in with pepper spray and a helicopter. President Trump today backing up that action with tough talk.
We are looking at long-term jail sentences for these vandals and these hoodlums and these anarchists and agitators.
The president now promising an executive order to protect monuments across the country.
Calls for Confederate monuments to come down happening all across the country, most notably in the South, including here in Georgia. In Decatur, the Confederate obelisk was recently removed and relocated after repeated vandalism. There have also been calls to remove the statue of General John B. Gordon from the state capitol. You can read more about the protests surrounding the statue on 11alive.com.
We have a few isolated showers out there tonight. Some of them have some heavy rain, and most of that's up to the north of us and northeast. We don't really see much going on here in Atlanta. I'm going to take you up to these to the north and east first, because that's what we've been tracking, that move through parts of Hall County on the north end of Lake Lanier. This is where we've had some thunder and lightning that moved through Banks County. Now this is in through parts of Franklin County, and it's moving. It looks like it's weakening a little bit as it continues to move over down to the south and east, but we had a couple of lightning strikes with that. And now a few isolated showers here. One of these right along 985 over in Hall County. You can see that right over here. And then here are a few more showers up in Dawson County, coming out of areas of Gilmer County, moving into parts of White County as well, and into Lumpkin County here. And then there's a shower with some heavy rain that's right on the line between Cherokee County, also Pickens County, Gordon County, and Bartow County with that heavier rain, and also on the north end of Allatoona Lake, and then one on the south end of Allatoona Lake in North Cobb County right around Kennesaw. But not much going on here. So that's the closest one to us here in the metro area up in northwestern Cobb. And then a few lighter showers crossing over the line into Georgia, but they're falling apart as they move in from Alabama. And then these showers from Birmingham on down closer to the Auburn area. Those are pushing down to the south, so I don't really think we'll have to worry about many of those coming in for tonight too. So things are going to be calming down tonight. We just have to get rid of a few of these isolated showers that are still out there. The sun setting at 8:52, and the clouds are kind of blocking our sunset tonight. You can see some of those clouds. This is in Noonan, looking toward the west. We could see some of that light there on the horizon a little while ago. And then here you can see how the clouds are blocking that sunset in Rome as well, but still some light in the sky up there too. But those clouds up in Rome are not producing any rain. Let me show you what we've been watching out there. We do have Dolly. This is yesterday, remember we told you about this, it was a subtropical depression. Well, today it strengthened a little bit and became Tropical Storm Dolly. Here's the good news. This is not really going to have any impact on the coastline. You can see that it's pretty much just to the east, or well to the east of the Cape Cod area. And this is going to continue moving up toward the north and east. And it's most likely going to become post-tropical tomorrow, lose its tropical characteristics, and become an area of low pressure as it kind of parallels the coastline there. So no real impact on land, but we just wanted to share that with you in case you're wondering, hey, whatever happened to the D storm? Well, that's Dolly, and it's not going to stick around very much at all. We got up to 86 today. I know earlier we reported 85. Well, it went up one more degree, and so our official high today is 86. Still a couple of degrees below the average. We only picked up 2/100 of an inch of rain in Atlanta today, and the surplus is now just under 14 inches above where we should be in rainfall. Tonight we're going to be looking okay. Any of those isolated showers will be diminishing. That activity in Alabama is going to fall apart. We start off dry in the morning, but a few clouds around. Once we get to lunchtime, the clouds thicken a little more, and then lunchtime and after, here you can see the scattered showers that are going to redevelop here tomorrow. There's a chance that some of those could be strong, with some winds possible, gusty winds, also some heavy rain and frequent lightning, lingering into the evening hours tomorrow before it falls apart. And then on Thursday, the rain chance just a little bit lower, but it doesn't totally go away. We'll still see a few scattered showers on your Thursday as well. And then rain chances do go down for the end of the week and into the weekend. We're at 60% chance Wednesday, 50% chance Thursday, and then down to a 30% chance Friday, with temperatures a little cooler Thursday in the lower 80s. Then we're back to the mid 80s Friday. How about 90 on Saturday, 89 on Sunday with a 20% chance for a shower. And it'll be rather hazy, as we've been talking about that Saharan dust layer that's going to be coming over the southeast over the weekend, giving it just that hazy feel to the sky there. And then Monday and Tuesday, back to 30% chances for rain and highs near 88.
Fourth grader Reese Steiglitz could have asked for a lot of things for his 9th birthday today. He loves electronics and music, but he wanted to grant 999 wishes for others in Atlanta. Here's Cheryl Preheim.
44 milks, 312 fruits and veggies.
The Steiglitz dining room in Brookhaven is filling up with food to donate. It's part of the 999 birthday wishes for Reese's big day.
Happy birthday, Reese.
Thank you.
9 years old. What made you want to do a food drive for your birthday?
I want to inspire and bring love into our community, and I hope many other people do the same thing.
Reese already has 1,400 food items collected and $4,200 in cash for the food bank,
which would be around 16,000 meals.
16,000 meals.
And we're so proud of Reese for putting this together now, when the need is greater than ever.
We're now distributing about 2 million pounds of food a week.
Reese learned about the overwhelming need at the Atlanta Community Food Bank when he saw a line of people and asked his mom about it.
And I said, those people are waiting in line to get 2 small bags of groceries. because they don't have enough to feed their families right now. And he said, well, we have to do something about this.
It feels great that I can help so many people in the community and make the world a better place.
You figured out the mystery of life is the real gift is when you get to give something.
Yes.
He hopes his 999 birthday wishes inspire others to help too.
The goal was $999, and he has more than quadrupled it. He says he's going to keep his food drive going through the end of the month. If you want to be part of his wish, we have the information on 11alive.com. One Georgia community is getting the chance to decide, do they want to keep their police department? They want to get rid of it. We will have more in the upcoming vote coming up next.
Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more.
Community members in Glynn County in Brunswick have a chance to decide this fall whether to get rid of their troubled police department or not. The decision will come in the form of a vote this November. And according to the Republican state senator who sponsored it, it has nothing to do with the current defund police movement.
This is not in accordance with any effort to defund police. The people of Glynn County want law enforcement. I want good law enforcement. We just want to bring order and peace and to settle some of the issues that have plagued our community throughout the years.
The Georgia legislature has passed 3 bills related to the matter since last Friday. The latest was this afternoon. Senator William Ligon has co-sponsored the bill after a grand jury recommendation in September of 2019. We told you back in May that the grand jury said the Glynn County Police Department had, quote, ongoing culture of cover-up, end quote, and that voters should decide in 2020 whether the department should be merged with the sheriff's office instead. The bills are now heading to Governor Kemp's desk for his signature. If voters approve in November, the Glynn County Police Department will be no more starting May 2nd, 2021. A new executive order will temporarily ban new visas for foreign workers. Ahead on Prime Time, the impact on those in Metro Atlanta.
Touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread.
A joint statement from the Department of Justice and the FBI says the noose that was found in Bubba Wallace's garage in Talladega had been there since last year. It was part of a loop for a garage door. The statement began by saying that 15 FBI agents conducted interviews yesterday and concluded no crime had been committed. Agents concluded the noose had been in the same garage since October of 2019, and no one would have known that would have been part of Wallace's garage for this week's race. NASCAR President Steve Phelps is thankful that Bubba Wallace was not the target of a hate crime.
For us at NASCAR, this is the best result we could hope for. This is, disturbing to hear that it was thought that one of our own had committed this heinous act. Given the evidence that we had was delivered to us, we would do the same thing. We would have done the same investigation. It was important for us to do.
Today, the GHSA approved a proposal to add a shot clock to varsity boys and girls basketball games in the state. It will be phased into games over the next 3 seasons, beginning with the upcoming season. By 2022, the 30-second shot clock will be enforced at all varsity games, including the state playoffs.
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
These tragic moments remind us that we are one, because it impacts all of us.
Tonight on Primetime, powerful words and heartbreaking sadness. The family of Rayshard Brooks surrounded by community as they say goodbye one final time. The fight for social justice making major progress under the Gold Dome. Georgia one giant step closer to finally getting a hate crimes law on the books. We begin tonight with one family's loss, the funeral service for Rayshard Brooks. His memory now part of a growing movement for change. The 27-year-old father and husband shot and killed by a former Atlanta police officer just over a week ago during a DUI arrest. During today's homegoing service, his name lifted up in prayer and a call to action.
This country has become too accustomed and comfortable with black people dying. That's what we mean when we say Black Lives Matter.
It was an emotional service held at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church where Martin Luther King Jr. once preached. Joe Hankey was there today as we heard more personal stories about Rayshard Brooks.
Walked Rayshard Brooks' gold casket into Ebenezer Baptist Church. His family and friends walked in under a cloud of heartbreak, dressed in all white. The 27-year-old's funeral, invitation only. A small crowd, though, gathered outside Ebenezer to watch the service on a big screen. Delivering the eulogy, the church's senior pastor, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, who called on everyone in the church to support Rayshard's 3 daughters and son in the years to come.
And reassure them that they are as smart as anybody, that they are as worthy as anybody, that they are as valuable as anybody, and they are not alone.
Warnock recalled the recent death of George Floyd 18 days before Brooks' own death. The cases he admitted are different, with Floyd following commands and Brooks struggling and then running away.
But they are both dead. And therein is the problem. Black parents do not really know what to tell their children in order to keep them alive.
As Brooks' wife and children looked on, his mother-in-law said she knows Brooks is still with them and will be for years to come.
I look at my grandbaby right there. She looks just like him. And when I look at her, I know that he's not gone.
And outside, as Brooks' casket left the church, his family following behind, attorneys for the family asked her people to use Brooks' name to push for change.
Do not stop fighting. Continue to push. Stay in the streets until real change happens.
Rayshard Brooks' family said they didn't want this service to end on a sad note. People came here to mourn today, but his family asked for the service to finish with uplifting music as the casket left the church, hoping those in attendance would leave inspired. In the days following Rayshard Brooks' death, people protested on the streets around the Wendy's where the shooting happened. This afternoon, the hearse carrying his body drove past as people paused to pay their respects. That Wendy's was set on fire the night after Brooks was killed. Tonight, one of the arson suspects is in jail. Fulton County deputies arrested 27-year-old Natalie White late this afternoon after a tip from Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office. She will make her first court appearance tomorrow at noon. Investigators believe several people were involved in setting the fire. The area has become something of a lightning rod over the past week, with a group of armed citizens setting up roadblocks, not even letting residents get through. A flood of people online have called for Atlanta police to do something about it. Caitlin Ross reports the city council took it up during their public safety meeting.
They want the people occupying that area gone. They say it's been a nightmare trying to get in and out of South Atlanta for the past week, and now they're taking their concerns to city council.
My residents are calling me and saying that they drive down the street, and I'm talking about black and white residents, are saying, my God, what is happening? People have got guns, they're scared.
Councilmember Joyce Shepard represents the area where armed citizens have taken over the streets. She told the Public Safety Committee members she was stopped at a roadblock just outside of Wendy's.
Why is it that when protests happen in other parts of the cities, they bring in all these people, the National Guard and people to stop them, but they have literally taken over the streets on University Avenue where they're sitting in the streets and they determine who goes in and out.
Council President Felicia Moore tweeted about the roadblocks Monday, saying this is not Atlanta. Councilmember Shepard says she's been on the phone nonstop with APD Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant about de-escalating the situation there. During the meeting, he says officers are harassed when they go into that area.
When we took police cars into an area, they destroyed those cars.
The interim chief spoke out against a motion that would have limited the use of military-style vehicles and rubber bullets against people in these type of situations.
Throwing bricks, bottles, and knives at the police officers.
The Public Safety Committee agreed to hold off on the legislation until they could talk more to APD about why they use those tools.
As we making these decisions, I got to look at it from a whole holistic perspective of all of my citizens, not just a group of people who screamed and hollered.
Most of the people commenting about this situation want to know what Mayor Bottoms thinks of it. We reached out to her multiple times yesterday and today and have still not heard back.
And we will continue bringing you the very latest on the Rayshard Brooks investigation and the fallout in Atlanta. You'll find more videos from today's homegoing service on the front page of 11alive.com. Today, both houses of the Georgia legislature passed the hate crimes bill and sent it off to the governor. This after months of delay and weeks of reignited protests. The measure seemed to be on life support just yesterday after Republicans changed the bill twice. The bill that passed lost a lot of those changes. 11 Alive's Doug Richards is at the Capitol with more.
This is a defining moment for Georgia.
House Speaker David Ralston declared victory moments before a bipartisan vote in the House passed the hate crimes bill.
This time to send an overwhelming vote, a strong message that there's no place for hate in Georgia.
Republicans led by Ralston and Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan pushed the bill through after the story surfaced about the death of an African-American man, Ahmaud Arbery, in Brunswick. Investigators say 3 white men stalked and shot him as he jogged through their neighborhood.
Because of this graphic video images that we've all seen on the news now. That makes this an undeniable problem and injustice we can't continue to tolerate.
The Senate passed the hate crimes bill after ignoring it for more than a year. Then the House passed it within minutes.
There was a point I thought we had stopped, and he started it back up. That came through him. I thought that we had stopped and it was not going to go.
Senator Harold Jones credited Duncan with reviving the measure. House members credited Ralston.
Over 470 days, and today we finally got it across the finish line.
Their caucuses have come together to really truly create, I believe, a piece of legislation that 11 million Georgians can go to bed proud of this evening.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. You might be saying, why is his phone sticking up in the screen right here? Well, that's because I'm on Facebook Live right now. We're talking to 300 plus people on Facebook Live, and we're talking about who is not getting rain and who is getting rain. And you can see some of these scattered showers that are moving through. We had a few people tell us earlier about the heavy rain that they were dealing with up in the Habersham County area, up in Rabun County as well, up at 197. Right here in Atlanta, we're not seeing much in the form of rain, but we've been tracking some of these showers that have been north of the city and also north and east of us. Some of those were heavy on the north end of Lake Lanier. I had a few commenters on Facebook talking about the rain over Lake Lanier. That's pushing down to the south and is falling apart now that it's crossed over 85. There's another cell that developed on the south end of Lake Lanier that crossed over 85. That's weakening a little bit as it moves over to Jackson County, Barrow County, right there along 85 as well. Some additional showers in Dawson County, also into Lumpkin County, here into Cherokee County. This had a little bit of lightning with it earlier, right there on the Pickens and the Cherokee County line. And then nothing really going on here in Atlanta. And the showers over to the west of us, coming out of Alabama, those are weakening too. Just a little bit of light rain crossing over the line from Alabama into Georgia. And then the heavier rain with the thunder and lightning down really between Birmingham and just north of Montgomery, and that's going to stay to the south as well. Take a look at what we're watching as we go through the rest of the nighttime hours tonight. The Storm Prediction Center has taken us out of that marginal risk. We don't think we'll see any additional strong storms are out there tonight or anything, but we do go back to the marginal risk tomorrow. So here's a look at the weather headlines. More storms are going to be developing Wednesday. We do have a risk that some can be strong. Then the rain chances go down at the end of the week, and then a hazy weekend thanks to that Saharan dust layer. We've been talking about that on Facebook Live. You can join me there on my Facebook page or tune in just a few minutes for more on your forecast.
All right, let's take you through some other local headlines tonight, starting with 24 people who were arrested during a sex trafficking sting in Coweta County. The sheriff's office says it happened in a hotel in Noonan last week. Investigators say they saw hundreds of ads for prostitution targeting the area. Working with the Homeland Security's Human Trafficking and Child Exploitation Division, investigators set up meetings with suspects from the ads, then made the arrest. Officers also confiscated drugs and firearms. A bill aiming to help feed Georgia's children in need this summer is headed to the governor's desk. It's the Save Our Sandwiches bill, or State Senate Bill 345. It passed the House with a vote of 150 to 12. The legislator came after State Health Inspector stopped Marietta-based Must Ministries from making food for its summer donation program in people's homes. The organization has been serving free homemade sandwiches to local students every day of summer break for almost 24 years. The High Museum is making plans to reopen with new safety guidelines in place. The Art Museum in Midtown will limit capacity to 250 people per hour when it opens back up on July 18th with reduced hours. All staff and visitors over the age of 2 will be required to wear face masks. The High is also offering free access to frontline workers before reopening from July 7th through July 17th. COVID-19 has put Gwinnett County in the spotlight the last few weeks. Gwinnett now leads in the number of COVID cases, 6,636 as of today. Given its population size, the rate of cases remains fairly low compared to the impact this virus is having on many rural areas. Still, we asked investigative reporter Rebecca Lindstrom to take a closer look at why the numbers are so high.
If you're looking for an outbreak or special event to blame for Gwinnett's rise in cases, the county's public health director says you won't find it.
It's not necessarily, your race. It has to do with more of where you live.
Regardless of whether you look at the top 3 zip codes by case numbers, 30044, 30093, 30047, or by the highest portion of residents impacted, Dr. Audrey Arona says they are all in densely populated parts of the county with higher rates of minority residents, especially Latino or Hispanic.
There are multi-generational, multi-family units in this particular area because there's going to be more transmission.
That's why Arona says the county started a public awareness campaign, posting information on buses and in stores. What's interesting is that while the county conducted about 3,000 tests each week for more than a month, it wasn't until Gwinnett opened this site in Lilburn that the number of positive cases began to double. When open, it now accounts for more than half of the tests given by the public health department.
I wouldn't call it a second wave. I think we're seeing numbers that are consistent with our testing.
She says you can't really compare the numbers for March and April with what's happening in June. Now, anyone can get tested. If you look at the data, even with more cases, the hospitalization and death rates have gone down. The median age of those sick has decreased, as has the percentage of those with known underlying medical conditions.
So all that implies that the cases that we are finding are younger, they have less severe disease, and they have less medical problems, which is all good.
Dr. Arona says the county has the capacity to test about 5,000 people every week, but right now they're only getting requests for about half of that. While you do need an appointment, she stresses testing through the county is free and it's available 6 days a week.
And you can find the latest coronavirus cases in Georgia, including our in-depth analysis of testing and infection numbers on the special COVID-19 section of the 11 Alive app. Up next, the president putting a halt on new visas for foreign workers. We're going to look at what that means for local businesses still trying to get Georgia's economy back on track. And don't forget, we are streaming right now on the 11 Alive YouTube channel. Subscribe and join the conversation in the community section. More 11 Alive news in prime time after the break.
Great uncertainty. Some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect.
A new executive order will temporarily ban new visas for foreign workers through the end of the year. It's a push that comes as the Trump administration continues to cite the need to preserve American jobs amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Owen Lopez explains what this means for Atlanta and who was affected.
Atlanta is a top 10 city in the United States for immigrants and legal immigrants coming here, both for those investing and those working in our city.
Through the end of the year, hundreds of thousands of foreigners will not be able to come to the United States. It comes as the Trump administration announces a temporary suspension of certain work visas, such as the H-1B visa. The order also extended restrictions for certain family members of U.S. citizens wanting to come to the U.S.
That means individuals that companies have sponsored from abroad to come work here after proving there are no U.S. workers available, and barring individuals who are the parents, adult children, or siblings of U.S. citizens.
So who does this affect the most? Workers in the tech and software industries, high-level executives transferring within their companies to the U.S., as well as their family members.
Thousands of companies have done this for thousands of workers, and those people are now barred from coming to the U.S., and they've been waiting, many of them, for 2 to 5 years.
Also affected are parents, adult children, and siblings of U.S. citizens. Childcare providers such as au pairs are also on that list, along with teachers and camp counselors. Those exempted, spouses and minor children of U.S. citizens, as well as visa holders who were already here. Temporary agricultural workers and healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic are also in the clear. Some major tech companies have already come out saying that they are opposed to the freeze in these immigration visas, arguing that foreign workers are essential during this time. Now we have this story in both English and in Spanish on 11alive.com.
And we're still talking to about between 150 and 200 people on Facebook Live right now. Folks are talking about the rain, how it's moving in, and if we'll see more rain. They want to know what's happening into the weekend. So we're going to break all of that down for you right now. No rain in the city of Atlanta right now, inside the perimeter. No rain coming through, but we have some of these scattered showers that we're watching on the north side. They were a little heavier north and east earlier. Those have moved across 85 and they're falling apart. But then as you can see here, more of these showers, these were coming out of South Hall. Still some pretty heavy rain right here in the southern parts of Jackson County. That's near Brazelton, Houston, getting on some of that heavier rain, moving closer to Jefferson. We also have some heavier rain about to hit the north end of Lake Lanier again, coming out of Dawson County, Lumpkin County, moving into Northern Hall. Right here again on the north end of Lake Lanier, heavier rain. Not seeing any lightning with that right now. We had lightning with some of those showers earlier. Also in Cherokee County, somebody on Facebook Live just a few minutes ago did say that, I'm sorry, this has got I think it froze up right there. They did say that they had some heavy rain in the Canton area up in Cherokee County. And then this is the closest shower to us here inside the perimeter. This is in East Cobb, but that's falling apart. I do believe it's going to fall apart as it moves just to the south of Roswell. And then these showers coming out of Alabama, they're falling apart as they come in across the line. Still some light rain south of Bremen, just south of I-20. Just a few sprinkles here as they go down toward Troup County, Heard County, Carroll County. And then these showers in Birmingham also weakening. They had a lot of thunder and lightning earlier. Those are weakening. And then those toward Montgomery are going to stay to the south. So I'm not concerned about those moving our way either. Take a look at what we're watching out there. This is a great picture that came in earlier from Joanne Tarpley in Mossy Creek. That's up in White County. You see the clouds and that nice full rainbow that you can see there from White County earlier up in the Mossy Creek area. So thank you, Joanne Tarpley, for sending that to us. And tomorrow we're going to be watching additional showers that are going to redevelop once again. We do have a marginal risk. If you look at the legend here, you see the marginal risk. That green color is level 1 out of 5. So tomorrow afternoon, again, as scattered showers redevelop, some of those could turn strong. The main threats would be some gusty winds possible, heavy rain, and frequent lightning. And we do think that'll diminish later tomorrow night before the rain chances go down a little bit more on your Thursday. Right now, still pretty warm out there, 81 here in town. Carrollton again, you had some of those lighter showers. You cooled off to 74. Peachtree City, 77, 72 in LaGrange. That's where we had a few of those showers. Covington had some showers earlier in 75. Gainesville, I showed you the rain up around Lake Lanier. That has cooled you off to 75 too. But the place is not getting any rain. It's a lot warmer there in the 80s. So we're going to get up to 84 tomorrow, a 5 on the wasometer. That's our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. And here's the timing of what we're watching. Just a few showers diminishing tonight. In the morning, it looks like it's going to stay dry for the first part of the day with a few clouds around. And then at lunchtime, showers beginning to develop to the west. And then during the afternoon, a little better coverage of these showers around. And some of these will be heavy at times, maybe turning severe in just a few of those. And then that diminishes late. And then Thursday, we still have some rain chances that'll be coming in, but the rain chance is a little lower. Thursday, we go from a 60% chance Wednesday to a 50% chance on Thursday. And then on Friday, the rain chances even down a little more to 30% with highs near 86. Saturday and Sunday, 20% chance for showers. It's going to be warm. High temperatures around 90 degrees both days, but it's also going to be hazy thanks to that Saharan dust that's going to be coming in over the south and east. And then back to a 30% chance for showers Monday and Tuesday with highs in the upper 80s.
Next, the Carver Market is rebuilding after vandals damaged it, and it comes back more colorful than ever. How local artists are helping out. YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Businesses that were damaged during protests against police brutality are still rebuilding. The Carver Market in Southeast Atlanta is one of those places. 11 Alive's Latasha Gibbons explains how local artists and customers are wrapping their arms around a grocery store that has been a staple in the community.
The Carver Market became collateral damage during protests, but as those who live and work here picked up the pieces, they also picked up a paintbrush, creating their own story, one that includes bold colors and the entire community.
We are Black, we are proud, we love our community. This is our home. We are a beautiful people, a strong, resilient people.
And that's what local artists and the community say this mural means to them. A new normal after recent protests left the Carver Market vandalized.
All of these windows have been broken and been replaced with wood and plywood.
Zuri Love is one of the artists leading the way.
The artwork is to represent all of the bullets that have been riddled, all of the people that have been hurt, all the lives that have been lost.
Pamela Stringfield works here.
We've actually been hurt in this time, and so it's very devastating to come to a place that you love and to see it destroyed, to see it harmed.
But the liquid love overshadows the wooded up windows and broken bars, one stroke at a time.
The business is still moving forward. We have to continue to live. We have to continue to love. We need to continue to grow. And I think that this visual is going to give us an opportunity to do just that.
Whether you're a featured artist,
I am an artist that has been commissioned to come in and help support this whole cause,
or a member of the community, on painting days, you too can pick up a brush and spread the love. And on the Carver's Facebook page, you can find out the days and times when you can come by and make your own splash.
Big concert venues are a no-go during the pandemic, but what about a little get-together? We are looking at the risk when it comes to those summer activities.
It's safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers. The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your
The conversation on Capitol Hill today turned to COVID-19. Some of the nation's top medical experts gave Congress an update on where our country stands as cases in some states surge. Dr. Anthony Fauci talked about prospects for a vaccine.
I still think there is a reasonably good chance that by the very beginning of 2021, that if we're going to have a vaccine, that we will have it by then.
They also talked today about the president's claims during his Tulsa rally he wanted to slow down testing. NBC's Susan McGinnis has more on their response.
With the U.S. coronavirus death toll topping 120,000, the nation's top health officials are called before Congress to give a pulse check on the pandemic.
In some respects, we've done very well.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci calling progress thus far a mixed bag at best.
In other areas of the country, we're now seeing a disturbing surge of infections.
The officials citing evidence of new spikes in southern and western states, with some states rolling back reopening plans and cases rising among the young. President Trump today again confusing the issue of whether he ordered top officials to slow testing, a stunning claim made at his Tulsa rally Saturday.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
The White House said he was kidding, but this from President Trump today.
I don't kid.
But today, each of the officials in turn denied President Trump gave them any such order.
I know for sure, but to my knowledge, none of us have ever been told to slow down on testing. We're going to be doing more testing, not less.
And amid the national upheaval over systemic racism, Dr. Fauci says it has contributed to the virus.
The African American community has suffered from racism for a very, very long period of time. And I cannot imagine that that has not contributed.
Sobering testimony that contained one key note of optimism. A vaccine could be ready by year end.
The Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta is now partners with the United States Department of Health and Human Services. The school is the recipient of a $40 million initiative to fight COVID-19 in minority communities. 11 Alive's Chanu Hur explains more about what that means.
COVID-19 has devastated Black and brown communities, in part, experts say, due to a lack of quality health care and resources. On Tuesday, a new weapon to help combat the pandemic that has disproportionately affected these communities. The Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health selected Morehouse School of Medicine to spearhead a $40 million project. The goal is to fight the disease in the most vulnerable communities.
The data suggests that unfortunately, racial and ethnic minority communities have been hardest hit in terms of the number of cases of COVID, hospitalization, and in some cases death rates.
The CDC's numbers show that minority groups combined make up far more COVID-19 cases than white Americans. Rear Admiral Felicia Collins is the director of the Office of Minority Health. She says Morehouse was chosen as the grant recipient because of its past work.
Morehouse School of Medicine has a history of working to respond to the needs of vulnerable communities that traditionally suffer from worse health outcomes.
Dr. Dominic Mack is the director of the National Center for Primary Care at the Morehouse School of Medicine. He says he's proud to be a part of the school leading the 3-year initiative.
President Dr. Montgomery Rice has always spoke about how we are out here to lead health equity. And what this does is it gives us an opportunity to act upon that.
The project is designed to work with community-based organizations all over the country to deliver education and resources. The network will link communities to COVID-19 testing, healthcare, and social services.
We recognized to be able to do a job like this by the National Health System, I think is a commendation that we won't wear lightly.
We often hear from people who are confused about what is safe to do and what isn't when it comes to COVID-19. People know they shouldn't be in a place like a packed concert venue, but what about a barbecue or just hanging out with a few friends? Frances Abbey is breaking down some common activities and their risk factors.
Here's a breakdown of 6 common activities and the level of exposure associated with each, according to experts. First, going out to eat. Experts agree that eating outdoors is safer than inside because of the increased ventilation. It's still risky, but your best bet is to dine on a restaurant patio that's observing strict social distancing and sanitizing protocols. Be sure to wear your mask whenever you're not eating. Next, going to a gym. Even if your gym is open, you're better off exercising outdoors, our experts say. The shared equipment and restricted ventilation make it harder to avoid exposure. If you're traveling, you might be debating whether it's best to drive or fly. Both are risky, but you have more control of your environment in a car than in a plane. But be sure to continue precautions when stopping for bathroom or food breaks. What about a summer barbecue? Technically, you can decrease risk by remaining outside, spacing families 6 feet apart, and avoiding physical contact and shared food items. But realistically, that might be hard to enforce, especially when alcohol is involved. Our experts also classify worship services as very risky. Your chance of exposure increases the longer you're around people and the more people there are in the group. Plus, singing could spread more aerosols, the particles that usually carry the virus. Which leads us to the riskiest activity, going to bars. Bars are a toxic mix of enclosed areas and alcohol, which could cause people to let their guards down. It's best to continue to avoid bars for the time being.
We still have a few showers that are holding together out there right now, even at this late night hour. As we're losing the heating of the day, some of these showers will begin to diminish a little bit more. We don't see anything in the city of Atlanta right now, like inside the perimeter, but we do have some showers that we've been watching north and east of the city. Some of those were stronger earlier that have been falling apart. Here's another little area of rain that is mainly light to moderate. There are a couple little pockets there of some heavy rain just over to the east side, south and east of 85 in Jackson County, near Jefferson, Barrow County getting in on some of that, as well as Oconee County, seeing a few of those showers. Hall County, you've been getting some waves and bands of rain that have been coming through there off and on, and now more back into Cherokee County, northern parts of Fulton County. Those are falling apart. Nothing in the city. This one that we were watching near Marietta, south of Kennesaw, that fell apart. And then additional rain coming over the line from Alabama into West Georgia is falling apart. And then those additional storms between Birmingham and Montgomery, as they move closer to the Georgia line, they're falling apart. But these from Montgomery on over toward Columbus still have a lot of heavy rain and lightning with them, but those are going to stay down to the south. Here's what we're watching out there right now. This is a live look in Athens. We've kind of pointed the camera down right there onto College Street, and you can see that the roads are dry, even though we had a few showers in Athens a little bit earlier with temperatures that were warm earlier as well. Here's what we're going to be watching during the day on Wednesday. We're going to go with the 5 on the wasometer. That's our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. Highs near 84, but yeah, more scattered showers will redevelop, and some of those could turn strong. We'll talk more about that and have an update on the timing in just a few minutes.
The U.S. House of Representatives is working on gun control measures, and viral post claims one bill would tax all guns and ammo in the U.S. and make everyone get a federal license. Is it true? Jason Puckett verifies.
This is the viral claim you sent us. That as COVID-19 has filled the news, the House of Representatives has been working on a bill that will add a 30% tax on guns, a 50% tax on ammo, and require licenses for purchasing or owning any of them. So is this claim true? To verify, we went straight to the bill itself, H.R. 5717, or the Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act of 2020. Now, it was introduced to the House of Reps in January and then referred to a subcommittee. So it still has to pass the subcommittee, be voted on by the House, the Senate, and the President to become law. So would it actually add taxes on guns and ammo? Yes. About 250 pages in is a section called Imposition of Tax. Guns would have a 30% sales tax. Quote, shells and cartridges would have a 50% sales tax. And according to the bill, the money raised by those taxes would go towards gun violence research and prevention. But would the bill require licenses for owning or purchasing a gun? Yes. Page 4 makes it illegal to purchase or own a firearm without a federal or state license. Requirements to get one: be 21 years old, complete a training class, pass a background check, and not have any legal reasons preventing you from owning a gun. Bottom line, if H.R. 5717 passed as currently written, it would add taxes to guns and ammo and would require anyone who buys or owns guns to get a license. Claim verified. If you've got other claims for us to look into, send us an email.
Soon, any new residential developments in the city of Decatur could be required to include affordable units. The proposal is set to go in front of city officials next month, according to our partners at the Atlanta Business Chronicle. The city formed an affordable housing task force last year that came up with 23 recommendations. One of them is the idea of mandatory inclusionary zoning, or creating space for affordable housing. The task force found that new developments within city limits often excluded low and moderate income housing. Sometimes new developments even tore down affordable options. The details about just how many units have to be affordable, that's going to come out July 7th, with the Planning Commission set to take up the proposal a week later. One Georgia community is getting the chance to decide, do they want to keep their police department or dissolve it? We're going to have more on the upcoming vote next.
Their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system.
As President Trump gears up his re-election campaign, he's in Arizona today with a focus on border security, competing with headlines on coronavirus and protests over racial injustice. Alice Barr has more from Washington.
President Trump in Arizona today, revisiting old themes with a trip to the border wall as he tries again to reboot his campaign. His visit to the battleground state comes amid a surge in coronavirus cases there. The president again blaming more testing for rising case counts in more than 20 states.
By having more cases, it sounds bad, but actually what it is we're finding people. Many of those people aren't sick or very little.
But health officials say not just testing, but positivity rates are going up. And many are worried about the president's appearance tonight at a Students for Trump event in a Phoenix megachurch that can hold 3,000 people. Church leaders are asking attendees to wear masks. Earlier, they were called out for making a bogus claim to have a virus-killing filtration device.
Filtration technology in particular would not prevent COVID-19 transmission from person to person.
From controversy on the road to a showdown at home. Police breaking up protests today in Lafayette Park across from the White House and clearing Black Lives Matter Plaza after overnight protesters tried to tear down a statue of former President Andrew Jackson until police stepped in with pepper spray and a helicopter. President Trump today backing up that action with tough talk.
We are looking at long-term jail sentences for these vandals and these hoodlums and these anarchists and agitators.
The president now promising an executive order to protect monuments across the country.
The calls for Confederate monuments to come down are happening all across the country, including here in Georgia. In Decatur, the Confederate obelisk was recently removed and relocated after repeated vandalism. There have also been calls to remove the statue of Confederate General John B. Gordon from the state capitol. You can read more about the protests surrounding that statue on 11alive.com. Community members in Glynn County will have a chance to decide this fall whether to get rid of their police department. Their decision will come in the form of a vote this November, and according to the Republican state senator who sponsored it, it has nothing to do with the defund police movement.
This is not in accordance with any effort to defund police. The people of Glynn County want law enforcement. I want good law enforcement. We just want to bring order and peace and to settle some of the issues that have plagued our community throughout the years.
The Georgia legislature has passed 3 bills related to the matter since last Friday. The latest was this afternoon. Senator William Lagone co-sponsored the bills after a grand jury recommendation from September 2019. We told you in May that the grand jury said the Glynn County Police Department had a, quote, ongoing culture of cover-up, and that voters should decide in 2020 whether the department should be merged with the sheriff's office instead. The bills now head to the governor's desk for his signature. If voters approve in November, the Glynn County Police Department will be no more starting May 2nd, 2021.
We still have a few showers holding together out there. Not everybody getting hit. It's really just a few isolated showers, but the ones that have been falling have had some heavy rain with them. They're showing signs of diminishing, though. And here in Atlanta, we're okay. We have a few showers just to the north of I-285 and parts of Cobb County, about to cross over into parts of Fulton County, too. We've been tracking some of these showers, kind of off and on showers have been moving through areas of Lake Lanier. We have some over Hall County right now, more back into Forsyth County with moderate to heavy rain. Those are moving over to the east. Some of these in Jackson County still have some heavy rain just to the south and west of Jefferson, right there on the Barrow County line. And some showers in Oconee County, just to the south of Athens, too, that have some moderate to even some pockets of heavy rain. We're not seeing any additional lightning with these now. These are just some good evening showers, so just be glad that maybe your grass and your trees and plants can soak these up. Southern parts of Cherokee County, see some showers there. Here's that one that I was talking about. This is just north of the north side of 285, right there at Cobb County, East Cobb, moving into North Fulton, and that has some heavy rain with it. Again, no lightning with that, too. That's moving over to the east. And the showers that have been coming in from Alabama, they're weakening in West Georgia, falling apart there. Additional showers near Anniston down toward Alexander City. I think that's going to continue to weaken, moving into Cleburne and Randolph County. Showers with storms down around Columbus with thunder and lightning. That's where the lightning is, and that stretches over toward Montgomery, not too far off from the Auburn area, seeing some of that heavier rain with thunder and lightning. That's going to keep pushing down to the south, though, and won't really impact us here in the metro Atlanta area. Here's what we're watching out there for tonight. This is the hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow. We're going to see scattered showers tomorrow, and the better chances are going to be around lunchtime and after for those scattered showers, with temperatures that'll be holding, we think, in the low to mid 80s, depending on what type of rain we get there and how much sun is able to break through in between some of those showers. Tonight, any of those isolated showers are diminishing, and tomorrow morning it is going to be a dry start, and then we'll see at lunchtime a few showers starting to kind of kick up a little bit, and then lunchtime and after these scattered showers, and again, some of those pockets with some heavy rain, maybe some winds that could be strong at times, frequent lightning, as I mentioned, the heavy rain there too. That'll diminish later in the evening. And then Thursday, lower rain chances, not as many of those showers around, but the rain doesn't go away. We're still going to have a few of those scattered showers around, especially in the afternoon, before the rain chances start to taper off a little bit into Friday. Now, we've been mentioning the Saharan dust layer. This is dust that actually gets caught up in the upper levels, 5,000 to 20,000 feet above the surface here. And it actually travels from the Sahara Desert over in Africa, and it crosses over the Atlantic Ocean. It's making it through the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. And eventually, some of that dust is actually going to make it up into the southeast, parts of the southeast. On Friday, we will begin to see some pretty colorful sunsets, we think, as that sun sets over to the west and kind of the light goes through all of those particles in the air. It might give us some nice colors there in the sunset. And then getting into Saturday and Sunday, that dust is going to be a little bit thicker over us, so the sky is going to be really hazy looking. It may even actually look kind of dirty out there, the sky, on Saturday and Sunday, but at least the rain chances will be on the low end here heading into the weekend, and it's going to be really hot too. So if you're looking for a bright blue sky for the weekend, it's actually going to look kind of hazy out there for the weekend. 60% chance for rain Wednesday, 50% chance Thursday, then we're down to a 30% chance on Friday, and then we see the hazy conditions Saturday and Sunday thanks to that dust that's going to be around. Only a 20% chance for showers, but highs both days right around 90 degrees. Upper 80s Monday and Tuesday, with rain chances back up to about 30%.
Fourth grader Reese Steiglitz could have asked for a lot of things for his 9th birthday today. He loves electronics and music, but he wanted to grant 999 wishes for others in Atlanta. Cheryl Preheim shows us why.
44 milks, 312 fruits and veggies.
The Steiglitz dining room in Brookhaven is filling up with food to donate. It's part of the 999 birthday wishes for Reese's big day.
Happy birthday, Reese.
Thank you.
9 years old. What made you want to do a food drive for your birthday?
I want to inspire and bring love into our community, and I hope many other people do the same thing.
Reese already has 1,400 food items collected and $4,200 in cash for the food bank,
which would be around 16,000 meals.
16,000 meals.
And we're so proud of Reese for putting this together now when the need is greater than ever.
We're now distributing about 2 million pounds of food a week.
Reese learned about the overwhelming need at the Atlanta Community Food Bank when he saw a line of people and asked his mom about it.
And I said, those people are waiting in line to get 2 small bags of groceries because they don't have enough to feed their families right now. And he said, well, we have to do something about this.
It feels great that I can help so many people in the community and make the world a better place.
You figured out the mystery of life is the real gift is when you get to give something.
Yes.
He hopes his 999 birthday wishes inspire others to help too.
The goal was $999. He's more than quadrupled it. Reese is going to keep his food drive going through the end of the month. If you want to be part of his wish, we've got the information. Just head to 11alive.com.
Cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions.
Miss Annie Bailey just keeps astounding people around her. She lived her 103rd year to the fullest and today celebrates 104 in the middle of a global pandemic. Meet Miss Annie B. Bailey. She even had a custom birthday face mask for the occasion over the weekend. More than 200 family and friends celebrated her big day with a drive-by parade at Salem Missionary Baptist Church in Lilburn, where Miss Bailey is an active member. She's actually the granddaughter of the founders of that church who were former slaves in the area. We want to send a very happy birthday and kudos to a life well-lived, Miss Annie. 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks, so keep sending us the good news you're seeing in your neighborhoods. Use the hashtag #SendTheLoveATL.
We'll be watching those showers redeveloping during the afternoon hours tomorrow. Some thunder and lightning possible. A couple of those showers could turn severe. I don't think it's going to be widespread, though. Rain chances still with us on Thursday, but it goes down a little bit, and then even lower rain chances Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hot, near 90 both days with hazy skies, and then back to a 30% chance for showers on Monday and Tuesday.
All right, stick around. Primetime rolls on at 10 p.m. with Jeff Hollinger. Chris and I will see you on Up Late at 11 on 11 Alive. Good night.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks.
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Tonight, powerful words and heartbreaking sadness. The family of Rayshard Brooks surrounded by their community as they say goodbye for one final time. An exclusive interview on the ATL. We speak to Ahmaud Arbery's mother about Georgia lawmakers passing a hate bill. Plus, one Georgia community is getting the opportunity to decide if they want to keep their police department or to dissolve it. Glynn County, Brunswick, the latest out of coastal Georgia. But first at 10, new developments in a story that we have followed since the very beginning of the suspected arsonist behind the fire set at a Southeast Wendy's is now expected to appear in court tomorrow. She was on the run for several days before police finally caught her today. Her name is Natalie White, and Natisha Lance is live at the Fulton County Jail.
A new photo for arson suspect Natalie White. Authorities believe she is one of the people who set fire to the Wendy's in Southeast Atlanta more than a week ago. Her attorney says she did not start the inferno, and pictures will prove that. A warrant was issued for White's arrest over the weekend. Her attorney says he had been negotiating her surrender with the DA's office since Sunday, and she was taken into custody today at his office by U.S. Marshals.
But no margaritas at all today?
No, it's just a daiquiri.
Just a daiquiri?
Yes.
All right.
And Natalie White.
Right.
We first heard White's name from Rayshard Brooks on police body cam video before he was shot and killed, although the nature of their relationship is unclear.
We're good friends, but I'm just not going to, at this point in time, talk about the specifics of their friendship.
A statement released by the Brooks family through their attorney reads, "We were unaware of any connection between the Natalie White that was arrested today for arson and the Natalie White mentioned by Rayshard Brooks in the body cam video. The only person who could answer questions regarding any connection they may have had is Natalie White." White will now face a bond hearing. Her attorney believes she should be granted bond because she's from Metro Atlanta and she has no criminal record.
When you look at it, I think she's clearly going to get bond, and I think the only fair thing to do is to give her signature on.
And that $20,000 reward is still in effect because Atlanta Fire says there are still more suspects out there, and we could see pictures of some of those suspects by later on this week. But I also want to show you, just within the last 30 minutes or so, a crowd of about 30 people right here in front of the jail has started chanting "No justice, no peace," also chanting Rayshard Brooks' name. I asked a few of them what was going on. I didn't get any response as to why they are here tonight. Our photographer, before I got here, also said that they were chanting "Let them out." So that may be in reference to the recent arrest of Natalie White, who is behind the walls of the Fulton County Jail tonight until her bond hearing tomorrow, when we will learn more. Back to you.
Natisha Lance reporting for us in downtown Atlanta. Thank you. Today, many across the country watched as Rayshard Brooks was laid to rest in Atlanta.
Let my Uncle Duff make us better people no matter the race. Let's treat each other how we want it to be treated as people.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and Tyler Perry, T.I. among those at the huge crowd at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Today's service reflected that Rayshard Brooks' memory is now part of a bigger movement. Civil rights activists like Dr. Bernice King called for a continued push toward social justice.
In honor of Ahmaud Arbery, in honor of Breonna Taylor, in honor of George Floyd, in honor of Rayshard Brooks, and countless others, don't stop until it matters that dignity, justice, and equity are a reality for all black lives. Rayshard Brooks' death will not be in vain, because justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Mr. Brooks' family is hoping that his legacy will be a part of police reform. His wife and 4 children at the service. For them and his close friends, they say it was a day to remember a father, a husband, and a son. If you'd like to hear the full remarks from today's service, we streamed it on 11alive.com and the 11 Alive YouTube page. Now to what many are calling a defining moment in Georgia. A new hate crime bill is now awaiting Governor Kemp's signature. The bill passed today with bipartisan support. It creates harsher penalties for crimes motivated by race, color, religion, sex, gender, and disability. Georgia was one of 4 states in the country without a hate crime law over the past few years. Activists and the Anti-Defamation League have tried to get a bill passed, but calls were renewed after the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Lee Merritt, the attorney for the Arbery family, tells us the bill will have Ahmaud's name attached to it. In an exclusive interview, Ahmaud's mother tells us it is a bittersweet moment.
I'm happy that Ahmaud's name will be a part of this such big change. But at the same time, I have to snap it back into reality that Ahmaud is gone. But, you know, his name will live forever, I think.
No word yet on when the governor will sign the bill. His office sent a statement saying it will be signed pending a legal review. Scattered showers across metro Atlanta tonight. Our chief meteorologist Chris Holcomb joins us now with a look at what overnight could bring us and what the morning will share as well.
You know, Jeff, we expect these showers to weaken, but some of them are still holding together. We even have a couple of areas that have developed a little bit of lightning north of the city and northeast of the city as well. Nothing inside the perimeter at this hour. We've been tracking most of these showers on the north side and over to the east of us. Here are a few of these over near Athens, some moderate to heavy rain. This is through parts of Oconee County, Jackson County, near Jefferson. You've been dealing with a few showers. Hall County, you've had off and on showers really for much of the evening hours tonight. The last little bit is moving over Lake Lanier right now. This one on the south end of Lake Lanier and the parts of Forsyth County moving into northern Gwinnett. That's where we have a new lightning strike right there. And then we also had a little bit of lightning over here in Cherokee County. That's moving into Fulton County. That's showing signs of weakening. And then inside the perimeter, we are dry. On the south side, not a lot going on except for a few of these lighter showers that were coming in from Alabama. They've been weakening as they move into West Georgia. A few of these light showers still holding together coming from Birmingham, now between Anniston and Alexander City. We expect that weakening trend to continue with these as well as they push into western Georgia. And then down around Columbus over toward Montgomery, that's where we have the heavier rain with thunder and lightning, but that part is going to stay down to the south. We're going to be a lot calmer here tonight. Take a look at what we're watching out there as we go through the rest of the nighttime hours tonight. The Storm Prediction Center has taken us out of that marginal risk that we had in over much of metro Atlanta earlier today, but now things have stabilized. Even though we still have some showers, a little thunder and lightning, we don't expect any of them to be severe. But tomorrow we have a chance again with showers redeveloping that a few of those could turn severe as well, as we're in that level 1 of 5 risk. Stay with us. We'll talk about what to expect with those and when the best chances you'll see some of those storms moving your way.
A vote in the Georgia legislature has cleared the way for voters to decide whether to dissolve the Glynn County Police Department. It is the same county police agency that responded to the Ahmaud Arbery case but didn't make an arrest. Faith Abube walks us through this new development.
On the passage of Senate Bill 509.
2 victories in 2 days.
He is therefore passed.
For state lawmakers looking to abolish the Glynn County Police Department.
Ayes are 159. The nays are 3.
And a third, Senate Bill 38 passed Friday. Clears the way for those who live in the county to have a voice on the matter. It'll come in the form of a vote in November.
It allows the voters of Glynn County to vote to transfer the police power from the Glynn County Police Department to the office of the Sheriff of Glynn County.
Senator William Legan co-sponsored the bills after a grand jury recommendation in September 2019. We told you back in May that the grand jury said the Glynn County Police Department had, quote, an ongoing culture of cover-up, and that voters should decide in 2020 whether the department should be merged with the sheriff's office instead.
And we decided to go the route of a non-binding referendum to perhaps give the county some time to make adjustments.
But then the Ahmaud Arbery shooting happened in February.
There was some questions as to why the police department did not refer that case to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation because of connections which the accused had to law enforcement departments in Glynn County. And of course, there were also no arrests. And so the decision was made then to let's go ahead and go back to our original plan.
The change meant a new bill that gave voters more than just a symbolic vote on the matter. If approved by voters in November, the Glynn County Police Department will be no more on May 2nd, 2021.
This is not in accordance with any effort to defund police. The people of Glynn County want law enforcement. I want good law enforcement. We just want to bring order and peace and to settle some of the issues that have plagued our community throughout the years.
Even though the bills passed the legislature almost unanimously, there has been some opposition, including a Glynn County commissioner who sent a letter to the House Black Caucus asking for them to vote against it. The bills now head to Governor Kemp's desk for his signature. New tonight at 10, one of 3 Kentucky police officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor this year was fired today. In a 2-page letter to Louisville police, investigators say Officer Brett Hankinson violated the department's regulations and deadly force standards. The 26-year-old Taylor, a black woman and an emergency room technician, was killed by police March 13th after 3 plainclothes officers used a no-knock warrant to enter her apartment as part of a drug investigation. She was shot 8 times. We get questions almost every day about where our state stands when it comes to the new COVID-19 cases, and right now the rise in new cases is starting to look less like a bump in the road and more like a trend. Here's what we know. Today, the Department of Public Health reported that 1,750 new positive cases across the state, giving us a daily average this week of 1,228 new cases each day. The average last week, well under that at 832. While test results also surged above normal today, the number of new hospital patients continues to slowly increase. There are now 1,056 people in the hospital receiving care for COVID-19. If you want to keep track of our state's COVID-19 numbers, our special section on 11alive.com is a great resource. We keep an eye on all the trends to make sure you can stay informed. Roadblocks are going up at University Avenue as neighbors become greatly concerned about those hanging out with weapons around the Wendy's where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed. You'll hear what the city's interim police chief has to say about what's going on over there. And this is a live shot at the Fulton County Jail right now as protesters have gathered in opposition to the arrest of the Wendy's arson suspect, Natalie White. We will have more on Update at 11.
YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous.
Thousands of people online are reacting to an area of Atlanta that has been taken over by those with weapons. Roadblocks have been set up on University Avenue near the Wendy's, where Mr. Brooks was shot, and the people patrolling the area there are telling residents they are simply not allowed in or out. And it's been one of our top stories on 11alive.com. Here's Caitlin Ross with the backstory tonight.
They want the people occupying that area gone. They say it's been a nightmare trying to get in and out of South Atlanta for the past week, and now they're taking their concerns to City Council.
My residents are calling me and saying that they drive down the street, and I'm talking about black and white residents, for saying, my God, what is happening? People have got guns, they're scared.
Councilmember Joyce Shepard represents the area where armed citizens have taken over the streets. She told the Public Safety Committee members she was stopped at a roadblock just outside of Wendy's.
Why is it that when protests happen in other parts of the cities, they bring in all these people, the National Guard and people to stop them, but they have literally taken over the streets on University Avenue where they're sitting in the streets and they determine who goes in and out.
Council President Felicia Moore tweeted about the roadblocks Monday, saying this is not Atlanta. Councilmember Shepard says she's been on the phone nonstop with APD Interim Police Chief Rodney Bryant about de-escalating the situation there. During the meeting, he says officers are harassed when they go into that area.
When we took police cars into an area, they destroyed those cars.
The interim chief spoke out against a motion that would have limited the use of military-style vehicles and rubber bullets against people in these type of situations.
Throwing bricks, bottles, and knives at the police officers.
The Public Safety Committee agreed to hold off on the legislation until they could talk more to APD about why they use those tools.
As we making these decisions, I got to look at it from a holistic perspective of all of my citizens, not just a group of people who screamed and hollered.
Most of the people commenting about this situation want to know what Mayor Bottoms thinks of it. We reached out to her multiple times yesterday and today and have still not heard back.
Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb joins us with a look at the 7-day forecast, and here we are late June. With all due respect to your occupation, I love the South, I love Atlanta. I'm going to close my eyes. I could guess the 7-day forecast.
We are going to have some days that have higher rain chances than others, so you still have to pay attention.
I always do. You are someone that I always enjoy anytime you're on because you have a lot of great information.
Yeah, and just when you think we have it figured out, we're going to throw some Saharan dust in the forecast too.
Good.
Yeah, let's talk about that, where we have some showers out there right now. Nothing in the city, but on the north side, we've been tracking a few of these showers, some of them with heavy rain. We've had some thunder and lightning, nothing severe out there tonight. In fact, as these move over to the east, we're beginning to see more signs of weakening. Up around Lake Lanier, you've had some off and on showers for a big part of the evening. We've got some showers on the south side now, extending down into North Gwinnett. That's moving over to the east. We have these showers in Jackson County diminishing, some around Athens and south of Athens and parts of Oconee County. Banks County near Homer getting some showers. And then additional rain here. Some of these have pockets of heavy rain over Fulton County. It's a small shower, but it is kind of heavy there. That's moving down to the south. That'll move into West Gwinnett in just a little while. Nothing inside the perimeter at this hour. And then some of the showers we were watching coming out of Alabama earlier, as expected, we thought they would weaken as they moved into the state, and that's what we saw, those lighter showers just falling apart, pushing to the east. And we think this next wave from Anniston down toward Lineville and Alexander City in Alabama, we think that those will weaken as they cross over the state line too. Cleburne, Randolph County, you'll get in a few of those light showers, but that weakening trend will continue. The really heavy rain with the thunder and lightning and the storms are around Montgomery over toward Columbus, and that's pushing down to the south, so that part is not going to impact us either. Take a look at what we're watching out there for tonight, and we have a live look. This is in Athens. There have been a few showers in Oconee County just south of Athens. But as you can see here, the streets are dry. No rain in Athens at this hour, and temperatures are still mild here. We're 80 in Atlanta, 80 in Duluth, and 77 in Athens. We're beginning to see a few of these cities getting down into the upper 70s like Marietta, Covington, but lower 70s in Carrollton as we had those light showers earlier that helped to cool things off. Gainesville, I mentioned those showers up around Lake Lanier. Temperatures there have been in the low to mid 70s too. We'll get back up to 84 tomorrow. Showers, scattered thunderstorms redeveloping tomorrow on our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. We're going to go with a 5 on the wazometer. Again, watch that rain from Alabama, see how that falls apart coming our way. So we'll be drying out tonight, and in the morning it's going to be a dry start. Once we get into the lunchtime hour, a few scattered showers starting to develop on the west side, and then a better chance for scattered showers to be with us. Some of these could be heavy, and the Storm Prediction Center has us in that marginal risk, or level 1 of 5 risk, that a few of these isolated storms could turn severe. And then that'll diminish in the evening. Thursday, rain chance is a little bit lower, but we will have some scattered showers here. The rain chance doesn't go away quite yet. Now, I mentioned that Saharan dust to Jeff. This is what this is all about. We have in the upper levels between 5,000 and 20,000 feet. Dust that's going to be traveling, and it already has been traveling, from the Sahara Desert over in Africa across the Atlantic Ocean. It has made it through the Caribbean and even into the Gulf of Mexico. We are watching that dust layer that is going to be moving into our area. Now, this isn't going to be like a dust storm outside where you can go outside and feel the dust or sand, hitting you or anything. It's going to be really fine particles in the upper levels. And the main thing it's going to be doing for us on Friday, as we look to the west for the sunset, it's going to be very colorful. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have that thicker dust over us again in the upper levels. So the sky is going to have a real hazy look and almost going to look kind of dirty out there. Instead of a bright blue sky on the weekend, it's going to be really hazy with those colorful sunrises and sunsets. Rain chances 60% Wednesday, 50% Thursday, down to 30% Friday, and then really warm for the weekend with those hazy skies, and then rain chances back up to 30% Monday and Tuesday with highs around 88 degrees. Take a look at your weather wow moment for tonight. This is a nice rain video from Kimberly Morris up in the Canton, Georgia area. As some showers were up in parts of Forsyth County, over into Cherokee County as well. And that even looks like the sun is shining when that rain is coming down too. We'd love to see your weather wow moment, and we get these many times from our 11 Alive community storm trackers. You can be a part of that group on Facebook. Just search 11 Alive Storm Trackers, ask to become a member, and you can share your pictures, weather information, and videos with us as well.
All right, Chris, thank you. The Carver Market is rebuilding after it was damaged, and it is coming back more colorful than ever. How local artists are helping out.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams.
Some businesses that were damaged during the protests against police brutality are rebuilding. The Carver Market in Southeast Atlanta is one of them. 11 Alive's Latasha Givens explains how local artists and customers are wrapping their arms around a grocery store that has been a staple in the community.
The Carver Market became collateral damage during protests, but as those who live and work here picked up the pieces, they also picked up a paintbrush, creating their own story, one that includes bold colors and the entire community.
We are Black, we are proud, we love our community. This is our home. We are a beautiful people, a strong, resilient people.
And that's what local artists and the community say this mural means to them. A new normal after recent protests left the Carver Market vandalized.
All of these windows have been broken and been replaced with wood and plywood.
Zuri Love is one of the artists leading the way.
The artwork is to represent all of the bullets that have been riddled, all of the people that have been hurt, all the lives that have been lost.
Pamela Stringfield works here.
We've actually been hurt in this time, And so it's very devastating to come to a place that you love and to see it destroyed, to see it harmed.
But the liquid love overshadows the wooded up windows and broken bars, one stroke at a time.
The business is still moving forward. We have to continue to live. We have to continue to love. We need to continue to grow. And I think that this visual is going to give us an opportunity to do just that.
Whether you're a featured artist,
I am an artist that has been commissioned to come in and help support this whole cause,
or a member of the community, on painting days, you too can pick up a brush and spread the love. And on the Carver's Facebook page, you can find out the days and times when you can come by and make your own splash.
Coming up next, the president putting a halt on new visas for foreign workers. We'll look at what that means for local businesses still trying to get Georgia's economy back on track.
Sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Conversation on Capitol Hill today turned to COVID-19. Some of the nation's top medical experts gave Congress an update on where our country stands as cases in some states surge. Dr. Anthony Fauci talked about prospects for a vaccine sooner rather than later.
I still think there is a reasonably good chance that by the very beginning of 2021, that if we're going to have a vaccine, that we will have it by then.
They also talked today about the president's claims during his Tulsa rally that he wanted to slow down testing. Here's NBC's Susan McGinnis.
With the U.S. coronavirus death toll topping 120,000, the nation's top health officials are called before Congress to give a pulse check on the pandemic.
In some respects, we've done very well.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci calling progress thus far a mixed bag at best.
In other areas of the country, we're now seeing a disturbing surge of infections.
The officials citing evidence of new spikes in southern and western states, with some states rolling back reopening plans and cases rising among the young. President Trump today again confusing the issue of whether he ordered top officials to slow testing, a stunning claim made at his Tulsa rally Saturday.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
The White House said he was kidding, but this from President Trump today.
I don't kid.
But today, each of the officials in turn denied President Trump gave them any such order.
I know for sure, but to my knowledge, none of us have ever been told to slow down on testing. We're going to be doing more testing, not less.
And amid the national upheaval over systemic racism, Dr. Fauci says it has contributed to the virus.
The African American community has suffered from racism for a very, very long period of time. And I cannot imagine that that has not contributed.
Sobering testimony that contained one key note of optimism. A vaccine could be ready by year end.
We often hear from people who are confused about what is safe to do and what isn't when it comes to COVID-19. People know they shouldn't be in a packed concert venue, but what about a barbecue or hanging out with a few friends? Frances Abbey breaking down some common activities and their risk.
Here's a breakdown of 6 common activities and the level of exposure associated with each, according to experts. First, going out to eat. Experts agree that eating outdoors is safer than inside because of the increased ventilation. It's still risky, but your best bet is to dine on a restaurant patio that's observing strict social distancing and sanitizing protocols. Be sure to wear your mask whenever you're not eating. Next, going to a gym. Even if your gym is open, you're better off exercising outdoors, our experts say. The shared equipment and restricted ventilation make it harder to avoid exposure. If you're traveling, you might be debating whether it's best to drive or fly. Both are risky, but you have more control of your environment in a car than in a plane. But be sure to continue precautions when stopping for bathroom or food breaks. What about a summer barbecue? Technically, you can decrease risk by remaining outside, spacing families 6 feet apart, and avoiding physical contact and shared food items. But realistically, that might be hard to enforce, especially when alcohol is involved. Our experts also classify worship services as very risky. Your chance of exposure increases the longer you're around people and the more people there are in the group. Plus, singing could spread more aerosols, the particles that usually carry the virus. Which leads us to the riskiest activity, going to bars. Bars are a toxic mix of enclosed areas and alcohol, which could cause people to let their guards down. It's best to continue to avoid bars for the time being.
COVID-19 has put Gwinnett County in the spotlight over the past few weeks. Gwinnett now leads in the number of COVID cases, 6,636 as of today. And given its population size, the rate of cases remains fairly low compared to the impact this virus is having on many rural areas. Still, we asked investigative reporter Rebecca Lindstrom to take a closer look at why the numbers are so high.
If you're looking for an outbreak or special event to blame for Gwinnett's rise in cases, the county's public health director says you won't find it.
It's not necessarily, your race. It has to do with more of where you live.
Regardless of whether you look at the top 3 zip codes by case numbers, 30044, 30093, 30047, or by the highest portion of residents impacted, Dr. Audrey Arona says they are all in densely populated parts of the county with higher rates of minority residents, especially Latino or Hispanic.
There are multi-generational, multi-family units in this particular area. because there's going to be more transmission.
That's why Arona says the county started a public awareness campaign, posting information on buses and in stores. What's interesting is that while the county conducted about 3,000 tests each week for more than a month, it wasn't until Gwinnett opened this site in Lilburn that the number of positive cases began to double. When open, it now accounts for more than half of the tests given by the public health department.
I wouldn't call it a second wave. I think we're seeing numbers that are consistent with our testing.
She says you can't really compare the numbers for March and April with what's happening in June. Now, anyone can get tested. If you look at the data, even with more cases, the hospitalization and death rates have gone down. The median age of those sick has decreased, as has the percentage of those with known underlying medical conditions.
So all that implies that the cases that we are finding are younger, they have less severe disease, and they have less medical problems, which is all good.
Dr. Arona says the county has the capacity to test about 5,000 people every week, but right now they're only getting requests for about half of that. While you do need an appointment, she stresses testing through the county is free and it's available 6 days a week.
A new executive order will temporarily ban new visas for foreign workers through the end of the year. It is a push that comes as the Trump administration continues to cite the need to preserve American jobs amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's Elwin Lopez explaining what this means for Atlanta and who is impacted.
Atlanta is the top 10 city in the United States for immigrants and legal immigrants coming here, both for those investing and those working in our city.
Through the end of the year, hundreds of thousands of foreigners will not be able to come to the United States. It comes as the Trump administration announces a temporary suspension of certain work visas, such as the H-1B visa. The order also extended restrictions for certain family members of U.S. citizens wanting to come to the U.S.
That means individuals that companies have sponsored from abroad to come work here after proving there are no U.S. workers available, and barring individuals who are the parents, adult children, or siblings of U.S. citizens.
So who does this affect the most? Workers in the tech and software industries, high-level executives transferring within their companies to the U.S., as well as their family members.
Thousands of companies have done this for thousands of workers, and those people are now barred from coming to the U.S., and they've been waiting, many of them, for 2 to 5 years.
Also affected are parents, adult children, and siblings of U.S. citizens. Childcare providers such as au pairs are also on that list, along with teachers and camp counselors. Those exempted, spouses and minor children of U.S. citizens, as well as visa holders who were already here. Temporary agricultural workers and healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic are also in the clear. Some major tech companies have already come out saying that they are opposed to the freeze in these immigration visas, arguing that foreign workers are essential during this time. Now we have this story in both English and in Spanish on 11alive.com.
The U.S. House of Representatives is working on gun control measures, and viral posts claim one bill would tax all guns and ammo in the U.S. and make everyone get a federal license. Is it true? Jason Puckett verifies.
This is the viral claim you sent us. That as COVID-19 has filled the news, the House of Representatives has been working on a bill that will add a 30% tax on guns, a 50% tax on ammo, and require licenses for purchasing or owning any of them. So is this claim true? To verify, we went straight to the bill itself, H.R. 5717, or the Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act of 2020. Now, it was introduced to the House of Reps in January and then referred to a subcommittee. So it still has to pass the subcommittee, be voted on by the House, the Senate, and the president to become law. So would it actually add taxes on guns and ammo? Yes. About 250 pages in is a section called Imposition of Tax. Guns would have a 30% sales tax. Quote, shells and cartridges would have a 50% sales tax. And according to the bill, the money raised by those taxes would go towards gun violence research and prevention. But would the bill require licenses for owning or purchasing a gun? Yes. Page 4 makes it illegal to purchase or own a firearm without a federal or state license. Requirements to get one: be 21 years old, complete a training class, pass a background check, and not have any legal reasons preventing you from owning a gun. Bottom line, if H.R. 5717 passed as currently written, it would add taxes to guns and ammo and would require anyone who buys or owns guns to get a license. Claim verified. If you've got other claims for us to look into, send us an email.
Coming up next, as President Trump visits Arizona, there are still questions about his claim that he could sign an executive order to protect monuments.
A few of those isolated showers that are still out there tonight are showing signs of weakening, but they'll redevelop at times during the day tomorrow. Stay with us. I'll let you know if they'll turn severe, and we're going to give you an update on Tropical Storm Dolly.
The FBI has concluded its investigation into the noose incident at Talladega. We'll have the very latest details after the break.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In Seattle, officials say they plan to dismantle the 6-block police-free zone held by demonstrators after a pair of weekend shootings where one person died and 2 others were hurt. So much for the Summer of Love, as it had been called by the mayor. The so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, also called CHOP, had been occupied by activists since June 8th. It has been a mostly peaceful area, but city leaders say there has been crime and property damage, and over the weekend a pair of shootings. The mayor and police chief say they are working with black-led organizations and partners in de-escalation to get the hundreds of people who have occupied the area to leave. Joe Biden has formally agreed to debate President Trump no more than 3 times. The 3 debates are set for the fall, with the first one on September 29th at the University of Notre Dame in South Bend. The second, October 15th, has been moved from Michigan to Miami, and a third and final debate is scheduled for October 22nd in Nashville. As President Trump gears up his re-election campaign, he's in Arizona today with a focus on border security, competing with headlines on coronavirus and protests over racial justice. Here's Alice Barr from Washington.
President Trump in Arizona today, revisiting old themes with a trip to the border wall as he tries again to reboot his campaign. His visit to the battleground state comes amid a surge in coronavirus cases there. The president again blaming more testing for rising case counts in more than 20 states.
By having more cases, it sounds bad, but actually what it is we're finding people. Many of those people aren't sick or very little.
But health officials say not just testing, but positivity rates are going up. And many are worried about the president's appearance tonight at a Students for Trump event in a Phoenix megachurch that can hold 3,000 people. Church leaders are asking attendees to wear masks. Earlier, they were called out for making a bogus claim to have a virus-killing filtration device.
Filtration technology in particular would not prevent COVID-19 transmission from person to person.
From controversy on the road to a showdown at home. Police breaking up protests today in Lafayette Park across from the White House and clearing Black Lives Matter Plaza after overnight protesters tried to tear down a statue of former President Andrew Jackson until police stepped in with pepper spray and a helicopter. President Trump today backing up that action with tough talk.
We are looking at long-term jail sentences for these vandals and these hoodlums and these anarchists and agitators.
The president now promising an executive order to protect monuments across the country.
The calls for Confederate monuments to come down are happening all across the South. In Decatur, the Confederate Memorial was recently removed and relocated after vandalism. There have also been calls to remove John B. Gordon, the general, from the state capitol grounds.
A few showers still holding together out there tonight. Now, most of us are dry, but we just have a few isolated showers, and some of those still have some moderate to heavy rain with them, particularly up north and east of the city, right around the I-85 corridor, up into parts of North Fulton County between 400 and 85. We have some of those heavier showers. They are showing signs of weakening. We had a little thunder and lightning with some of these earlier. Now we don't really see any more lightning with them. We still have this up 85 through parts of the Jackson County area near Houston, Brazelton, there into Barrow County, where that's moving east of 85 right now. A few additional showers up in parts of Habersham and Franklin County, and in North Gwinnett, a few of these showers there with some moderate rain. But again, no lightning. That's coming out of North Fulton, coming into the western parts of Gwinnett County, south of Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier, you're finally getting a break. You had some of these off and on showers throughout the evening hours there earlier. We're doing okay here in Atlanta with no rain. On the south side, we don't really have any showers. The rain that was coming in from Alabama and West Georgia earlier, that was light in West Georgia, fell apart before it moved here on the south side. And the same trend is happening with this next wave that's over Cleburne and Randolph County in Alabama. As that moves into West Georgia, we think those are going to weaken as well. Most of the thunder and lightning and heavy rain is down to the south. It is weakening somewhat from Montgomery down towards south of Columbus and in South Alabama as well. Not seeing as many lightning strikes with that right now. So that's not going to be moving our way. Take a look at what we're watching out there for this hour. We do have Tropical Storm Dolly. We just got the 11 p.m. advisory in on Dolly. If you'll recall, we told you yesterday this was a subtropical depression. Here we are in Atlanta. The storm is way up to the north and the east. It really doesn't look like it's going to have any impact on land at all. In fact, it's going to lose its tropical characteristics tomorrow and become a post-tropical or extratropical as it moves up toward the north and east, not really making a landfall there, with winds of about 35 miles an hour. Right now, those winds are at 40. Earlier, they were 45, so they've already come down just a little bit, so no threat to land. Now, the almanac today shows a high of 86 2 degrees away from where we should be for this time of year at 88. The record for today's date, 99, nowhere near that at all. And only 0.02 of an inch of rain, and the rain surplus is now just under 14 inches above where we should be in rainfall for the year. We are going to see more storms developing on Wednesday. Some of those could turn severe. The Storm Prediction Center has us in that marginal risk. Then the rain chances go down for the end of the week into the weekend, but it will be a hazy weekend. As we told you last half hour, we have that Saharan dust that'll be coming in, making us a hazy sky for Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow, just a 5 on the wazometer. That's our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. Highs near 84. And yes, we're going to see scattered showers around, some thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. Rain chance at 60%. We go down to a 50% chance of rain on Thursday, and then a 30% chance Friday. Saturday and Sunday, most areas staying dry. Highs near 90 both days, with hazy conditions and only a 20% chance for an isolated shower. Then back up to 30% chance Monday and Tuesday, with highs near 88 both days.
Well, finally, some really good news. I'm excited about this. I'm pumped up about it, and I hope you feel the same way. Major League Baseball is back, and within the last hour, we have learned the players are agreeing to report to spring training starting July 1st at long last. The last hurdle, an agreement on health and safety protocols, it was cleared earlier tonight. It's going to be a 60-game season starting around July 24th. Postseason will remain at 10 teams. A joint statement, as we shift gears now, I'm still thinking about baseball, but let's talk about Bubba Wallace here for a moment. A joint statement from the Department of Justice and the FBI says the noose that was found in Bubba Wallace's garage in Talladega had been there since last year. It was a pull-down, a rope pull-down with the garage. The statement began by saying that 15 FBI agents conducted interviews yesterday. They concluded no crime had been committed. Agents concluded that noose had been in the same garage, the pull-down, since October of 2019, and no one would have known that that would be Bubba Wallace's garage for the race. NASCAR's President Steve Phelps is thankful that Bubba Wallace was not the target of any kind of hate crime.
For us at NASCAR, this is the best result we could hope for. This is disturbing to hear that it was thought that one of our own had committed this heinous act. Given the evidence that we had was delivered to us, we would do the same thing. We would have done the same investigation. It was important for us to do.
All right, so NASCAR moves forward. Today, the GHSA approved a proposal to add a shot clock to varsity boys and girls basketball games in the state. It will be phased into games over the next 3 seasons, starting with the upcoming season. By 2022, the 30-second shot clock will be enforced at all varsity games, including state playoffs. What took so long on that one? Man, that is long overdue. More positive COVID-19 cases continue to pop up. Top-ranked tennis player Novak Djokovic is the latest tennis player to contract the virus. He and his wife tested positive after playing in a series of exhibition matches in Croatia and Serbia. Another Atlanta Dream player has decided to sit out the 2020 season. Veteran guard Tiffany Hayes says her decision to not play this year comes from much more important things to think about in this moment. Renee Montgomery announced late last week she was sitting out to focus on social justice reform. An act of kindness by 2 Georgia Bulldogs. Christy Williams-Myers posted on her Facebook page that she and her daughter were in Athens at a Subway. Her daughter had to go to the bathroom, and they said, well, you got to be a paying customer, and the mother forgot her wallet. So these 2 UGA football players, Latavius Brini and Jalen Kimber, stepped in and bought her a cookie so she could use the restroom. Way to go, guys. Congrats. Excellent. All right, that is sports. We'll take a break. We're back right after this.
With household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19.
We will see some scattered showers redeveloping tomorrow. The better chance for some thunderstorms will be in the afternoon and evening hours. Highs near 84. 81 Thursday with the rain chance coming down a little bit, but still some scattered showers. And then a 30% chance for rain Friday. Hazy conditions thanks to that Saharan dust for Saturday and Sunday with highs near 90. Then rain chances back up to 30% Monday and Tuesday. Flip over to 11 Live right now. Up Late is next.
For coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. on 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.